Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bound to Talk Football. I'm your host, Blake Walker, along with my laggy partner, Paul Arridge. No music today because Paul and I have tried to record the intro to this podcast at least 5 times, and Paul's internet or something like that keeps going out. So we're just going to roll right through it. Paul might drop off halfway through, and he just froze right there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to keep rolling through it, as Paul sometimes will come in and out. We'll play with, we'll go through it as we can as we preview week 3. Paul, before you die, tell me what games are you watching on Friday?
Plan on watching obviously the Set Prairie game. That's in 5A, so I'll talk about some of them. ADM versus Lewis Central, that'll be an interesting game. Glenwood versus Harlan, that'll be a big game. There's a lot of good ones. I want to see how Xavier bounces back, how Linville bounces back without Corden Harder. So
I was told I got an email today that I have to be at Southeast Polk at 4:30 tomorrow to make sure I get a parking spot. And I'm like, what? I was like, hello? So I don't know if that's going to become a problem for Southeast Polk or if that's just they expect a lot of people on opening night. I don't think there will be a lot of Prairie people there, but clearly everybody from Southeast Polk is going to be there. But yeah, I'm very excited. So we'll jump into our 5A games and we'll just kind of roll down the list. We'll start out with Johnston taking on Valley. This is the first time these two teams are playing each other since like 2018, I think I saw. There's that it has to be right. It feels weird they don't play each other. Valley coming off losses to Dowling and Southeast Polk. Johnston lost to Cedar Falls. Paul, the biggest thing I'm concerned about is Valley's quarterback situation. We really don't know who's going to play quarterback. Again, you and I will give a prediction for all these games. I'm leaning Johnston here, but I don't know. If Ethan Stemler plays quarterback for Valley, I think the Tigers might be decent here.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to who's playing quarterback for them, because I'd favor them if they had their normal starter, because they play great ball against two really good teams to start the year. They're Valley, so they get kind of screwed with their schedule and have to play like the top dogs right away. Yeah. So I'd be pretty optimistic, but I think the Tigers can do it for sure. I watched the film on the game. Their defense is good.
Yeah, if Johnston loses this one, you talk about just disappointing to start again. They've just been bad with slow starts the last couple seasons. This season, a lot, riding high. Last year, I don't think a lot of people had that dome expectation, but boy, got to win this week. I just feel like you got to get back on track.
I think if Johnson loses this one, I think we just have to categorize them as the same team as last year, which kind of sucks literally for them.
Yeah, and it does, but I agree. You said that is perfect way to say it. Like, yeah, they're just the same as last year. They can make a run. Everything has to go right, but yeah, I'm with you. So I'll go with the Dragons. You'll go with Valley. I think it'll be a good game. That should be a good game. I think it's at Johnston, so good for them. Cedar Rapids Kennedy 0-2 takes on Linmar 2-0. Paul, you talked on this last night, or our podcast that came out this morning. I'm with you, man. I think Kennedy wins this thing. Linmar loses a big star on their team. Kennedy's losses are to PV and Dowling. Almost beat PV. Linmar has wins over Dubuque Senior and Cedar Rapids, Washington, so this will be the toughest game for Linmar. It's your classic heavy rushing attack versus a heavy passing attack type game. I think Kennedy finally gets something going and puts something together. I think it'll be high scoring again, but I'd like to give Kennedy the edge on this one.
Yeah, no, we're both step for step there. I think Kennedy gets a dub here. I'm just big on Kennedy just being good this year. Call me crazy after 2 straight losses to start the year, but I think there's a lot of talk about them being really good this year. I don't think they're just gonna flatline and be mediocre this year. I think there's a real chance they win out. Like realistically, I think everyone thinks this team can win out. So
yeah,
they got Cedar Falls still, and that's their probably Super Bowl after this game. So
yeah, that's a big one. 2-0 Dowling Catholic takes on 1-1 Ankeny. This game has been good the last couple of years, honestly. Ankeny lost to Southeast Polk. Dowling beat Valley and Kennedy. My biggest thing for this game is Dowling's passing game has to show up. I think that's going to be a huge part of it. I assume you saw on the film too, Cataldo missed a lot of throws against Valley. He's got to get it figured out. Because if they do that, I think they're going to be much better. It's just a matter of he's got to get it figured out. I like Dowling in this one just because Ankeny's defense is just everywhere. I mean, you've given up 38 and 58 points, so your defense just hasn't been there. But I like Dowling in this one. I think they get it going a little bit better this week.
Yeah, I hate to do it to my alma mater, but I think this is going to be a bloodbath. And I think it's mainly because I think secondary-wise, Ankeny just is not looking good at all. I think Dowling has like 4 wide receivers that can just play and then just torch their man. Yeah. And then I think Rashad Davis could go over 200 this game, mainly because of what Elijah Porter did against Ankeny the first week. So I think defensively, Ankeny's going to have a lot of problems. But we've seen Ankeny offensively actually put up some numbers, so
yeah,
which I wouldn't think. But they've been able to do it. Devin Akers has been putting up stats, so I expect kind of a bloodbath. But is it at Valley or is that Ankeny?
It's at Valley. Technically first home game for Dowling finally. So good for them. Southeast Polk 2-0 takes on Cedar Rapids Prairie 2-0, the only 2-0 versus 2-0 game in Class 5A. Southeast Polk wins over Ankeny and Valley. Prairie has wins over Cedar Falls, albeit Drake Gelhaus did not play for Cedar Falls and Dubuque Senior. Paul, looking at the stats, this game is way closer on paper than you'd think it'd be. Like, both teams are pretty even in both categories. I think the last 2 times these two teams faced, they played each other twice last year, and it was 41-0 both games. And then 2 years ago they played, and that was the Xavier Wankpa blocked field goal to win the game. I think this time it'll be a little closer. I think this is a better Prairie team than it was last year. Casey Kelly, huge part of that offense. I still think Southeast Polk wins, but I'm not saying it's 41-0 this time around.
I probably have set by about 20 plus. That's my line. And I think for an Eastern Iowa matchup or Central Iowa matchup, it's kind of what you have to expect at this time because we've just seen it so many times. It's hard to get away from that. And I think the home opener aspect of it, I think they're going to be playing with their like just insane hype and momentum. So I think this is a tough situation for Prairie. I'd rather have this game in like week 8, week 7.
Yeah,
when you're kind of settled, but getting thrown into the fire. I mean, Ankeny, they looked like the team we thought. Like, that did not look like the team that played Valley.
I'm happy, though, that this is a scheduled game. Like, I'm glad that these two went out and scheduled each other because I think it's a good game. I mean, it's been good. It's just good to have an Eastern versus Central Iowa team. So we're going to both roll with the Rams. We have a couple other notable games. Just want to quickly swing through the little Cyhawk game, Ames versus Iowa City High. I don't know, man. I think Ames, both teams are 0-2. It's been a while since the Cyhawk game was between winless teams. I want to lean Iowa City High just because Ames' offense is still just trying to figure things out. But City High's offense hasn't been much better. We don't know about Drew Larson, if he got hurt or if whatever happened. I'll lean more City High in this game.
Yeah, it sucks for City High because past couple of years, they've had 2 quarterbacks. That were good. Quentin Tran and Drew Larson, but Quentin Tran went to Clear Creek Amanda, so they've been – now Drew Larson either is hurt or something's up, or he's playing. We don't know, really.
Yeah.
But sucks for them. I like Iowa City High. I think they're if Larson's there, definitely like City High. But
if not, then we're gonna see a 14-10 game, which will replicate what'll happen on Saturday between Iowa and Iowa State. So I don't know.
It's really weird that we're talking about like this being a good game. I would not expect this to start the year.
No,
I would think Iowa City High would be looking at least 1-1.
Yeah,
but
just a rough start. Pleasant Valley taking on Iowa City Liberty. I mean, here's the thing. I guess we need to judge how good Kennedy is because Pleasant Valley's win over Kennedy was huge. Also, we need to judge how good Bettendorf is because Bettendorf blew the doors off Pleasant Valley. I will lean Liberty simply because the offense. The week 1 loss is just tough against Iowa City West. I think it was just the welcome to 5A game. Like, you didn't really know what to expect. You just kind of threw yourselves in and you got caught off guard. I think Pleasant Valley's good, but I like the Liberty offense a lot more than I like Pleasant Valley's offense.
Yeah, I'll go with I'll flip it on you. I'll go Pleasant Valley here, and I think that's just because every time I think Pleasant Valley will get torched by a team that can pass the ball, they don't. So, and I mean, we saw them give up passing yards against Kennedy and still win. So PV's a hard team. I think in the trenches, PV's probably better than Iowa City Liberty, and that's what I lean the most. Good game though. That's a big one out east because they kind of got 2 ready builders out there for. Like Iowa City Liberty, we either know a lot about Bettendorf and Kennedy, or we start to realize that one of those teams is worse or whatever.
Quick pick, real quick. I didn't have it written down. Bettendorf or Urbandale? Who are you taking? Bet.
That's scary because they dismantled Iowa City.
That's the thing. And Urbandale won this game last year. Urbandale took care of business the last couple of years against Bettendorf.
They did have a pretty loaded Garwood, Kai Black.
Yeah. I will say Urbandale has a really good running back in Brooks. Their quarterback is a true freshman, is a freshman. So that's tough. I'll lean Bettendorf, but I would not be surprised if Urbandale somehow goes out and wins this game.
I'm not sticking with Bettendorf, but that game is not this easy game for me to pick. Yeah. I kind of initially thought that right when you said it, but
one final game, Cedar Falls and Centennial. Centennial gets them at home, 2nd year in a row. They kind of got unlucky with that if you're Cedar Falls. I assume Drake Gelhaus is playing because he played last week. Give me Cedar Falls because they probably should have beaten them last year. But this is a good Cedar Falls team, man, when they're clicking.
Wait, no, they didn't. That's 2 years ago. My bad. Yeah, I think this is a tough game to predict. This game's always good. Cedar Falls is the one
always good
team. Cedar Falls is one Eastern Iowa team. I feel like that can always hang with. I mean, they don't usually play the top dogs of the CML, but they play the good, respectable teams. And I mean, it's hard not to pick them because they just beat Johnston. They kind of proved it. We're gonna find out about Centennial here. If that Ankeny win was kind of a fluke or that Ankeny loss, I should say. A fluke, or if it was a big game. So.
I was just thinking back. Was it a couple of years ago? I think it was a couple of years ago. This week was when Iowa City High beat Dowling, and I was thinking back at it. Probably that will go down as one of the more prominent Eastern versus Central Iowa wins of all time. I know that was kind of a down year for Dowling, but I just remember that game and I was like, that was so cool. That was such a cool game. That just doesn't happen. That was kind of the City High's back and then made it to the Dome, got blown out. But anyway, so that's your 5A games that we're looking at. Our 5A game of the week, by the way, was Southeast Boulder Prairie. Let's move on to Class 4A. 2-0 ADM takes on 1-1 Lewis Central. If Lewis Central would have won last week, this would have been our 4A game of the week. But Lewis Central didn't win last week. ADM has wins over Newton and Winterset. Lewis Central lost to Creston, but they've only given up 22 and 20 points. I wrote down, Paul, can Lewis Central keep up on offense?
There you go. It's literally exactly it.
I like...
Man, bro, 11.7 yards a carry for ADM this year.
ADM. Don't they have 700 rushing yards or something like that?
877.
It's unbelievable. And they're good in the air, too. They could beat you in the air if they wanted to. They just don't plan to. Give me ADM. Big.
I'm with ADM here. But the scary part about it really isn't actually that scary part. I think for Lewis Central, it's so tough for them to have to keep up on offense. They're going to score. I don't think ADM is this. Defensive wise, they're not that great. But when it comes down to scoring, they're going to put up 50 or 49, and to ask Lewis Central's offense to do that, I think is not going to be ideal.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. It'll be a good game. 2-0 Glenwood versus 1-1 Harlan. Glenwood wins over Sioux City East and Atlantic. Harlan lost to Lewis Central. I'm putting the over-under at this game of, okay. I should say both teams might score in the 40s or 50s.
Okay.
I don't expect a lot of defense in this game. That being said, I think Glenwood finally gets past Harlan. Harlan's offense is Arkfield at quarterback, or Arkfield, something like that. And then Cade Sears has like half the passing yards. So basically give it to Cade and hope he can do something with it. I just think Glenwood's the better team, man, all across the board.
I really like Glenwood in this one. It's probably one of my most confident picks of like, that's not like a 50-50 or not like a chalk pick. I guess a lot of people pick Harlan, I'm assuming, if you didn't really pay attention that much. But yeah, I'm with you there. Glenwood, honestly, pretty balanced offense too, looking at the stats.
Yeah, it is.
I like them. I think Harlan, this is going to be a tough year. They got all the dogs, right? Like they play everyone. They don't
yes.
Yeah. They got Glenwood, SBL, Creston, Nevada. Oh, God. Huh? They don't got a... It's all right. They'll survive. They'll make the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll learn a lot tomorrow night about Harlan.
Yeah,
that's the big one.
This will be a big one for Harlan if they win it.
Yes, they jump right back to the top in Class 3A as one of those. Because remember, they're not even 4A, so this is another 3A versus 4A thing.
Yeah,
they jump right back to the top in my mind to 3A. But then if ADM beats Lewis Central, I don't know what. Everything kind of looks weird.
Talk about Glenwood if they get this done, because
Glenwood needs to be a top 3 team if they beat Harlan. Again, we'll figure things out as we go, I guess. 2-0 Webster City versus 2-0 North Polk. It's our game of the week in Class 4A. Paul, you and I are different on this. I took North Polk. You took Webster City. Webster City has wins over Fort Dodge and Spencer. North Polk beat Bondurant and Carlisle. Classic passing attack versus rushing attack. I will favor North Polk because they were able to subdue Titus Cram just a little bit in that first game. The defense worries me just a tad, but I like the Comets just a little bit more in this one over Jackson Cherry, because if Jackson Cherry's off just the slightest bit, we don't know if there's much left for Webster City on offense. So it's just kind of one of those things as Paul freezes up on his end. So we're just going to keep rolling along unless Paul's camera gets back. There we go. Hi, Paul. How's it going? If his camera dies again, we'll see. He's going to back on out, it looks like. So we're going to keep on rolling through Webster City and North Polk. Basically, I think the Webster City attack will be huge, but North Polk, I just give them the edge in the passing game. 1-1 Xavier takes on 2-0 Western Dubuque. Western Dubuque wins over Waller and West Delaware. Xavier coming off the loss to Williamsburg. How does Xavier respond? That's the biggest question, I think, on everyone's mind. Western Dubuque, this team is no slouch. This is a very, very good offense versus a very elite defense that could cause a lot of problems. I'm excited to see how these two teams shake out between Xavier and Western Dubuque. Paul is jumping back in. Paul, quickly, after your Wi-Fi troubles continue, Xavier and West Delaware should be a close game between these two. Like I said, great offense versus great defense. Quickly say something before your microphone goes out. Nope, it's going to keep going out. I guess Paul is might not be coming back in for this one. I'm going to step aside real quick. Let's get this figured out. All right, so unfortunately, Paul's Wi-Fi has completely been gone. I blame UNI Internet. So it's just going to be me the rest of the way. So we're going to keep running through these games. We won't have Paul's insight, unfortunately, but I know who he picked for his games of the week. But yes, back on Xavier, Western Dubuque. Should be a great game. I'm going to go with Xavier. I think Xavier gets back on track, but man, this is going to be another great game. Shout out Xavier for stacking their schedule, because it's created really fun games. A couple other notable games that I quickly want to run through. Indianola takes on Pella. We talked about this in our episode last night. Indianola, very good. Pella got a win over Keokuk. I'm going to give the edge to the Indians. They barely lost to a really good Norwalk team. So I think they're going to be fun to watch. And then we'll see how everything works out there for the Dutch. I'm going to go with Indianola. Speaking of Norwalk, they take on Newton. Excited to see Newton. I think they're good. I think they still have a lot of potential on offense. They just got to get things rolling on defense. I might give the edge to Norwalk. Oskaloosa 4A team, I believe, is 2-0 or might be 1-1. I can't remember off the top of my head. They take on Grinnell. I only put this game in here because the last time these two teams played, this has been a classic rivalry between these two. As growing up in Grinnell, it was a heated rivalry between these two schools. Oskaloosa a couple years ago beat Grinnell. Oski kind of ran up the score a little bit on the final drive. Ended up winning the game handily. I think it was like 38-7, 40-something-7. Grinnell coach took it to heart, and the next season, Grinnell absolutely ran up the score against Oskaloosa. Grinnell won 80-35. It's the most points any Class 3A school has put up in a while. 80 points, 80-35. Most of the kids, every kid on that team is now gone for both Grinnell and Oskaloosa. So I just wonder if it's still in the minds of some of those players. I'll take Grinnell. I'll go with my guys. That offense got to get going a little bit. Has me worried a little bit. But that defense is actually pretty good. That line, they got a couple young kids up front. Give me Grinnell against Oski. Waverly Shell Rock trying to get back on track versus Bondurant. They loaded their schedule up, and they just lost a lot of guys from last year. Newsom was a big loss. Give me Bondurant, Titus Cram and company getting back on track. I think they were really upset after that loss to North Polk in week 1. Let's jump down to Class 3A. Our 3A game of the week, 2-0 North Scott versus 2-0 Assumption. I messed up when I said it. This is our 4A game of the week. North Polk Webster City is our 3A game of the week. So our 4A game of the week, 2-0 North Scott, 2-0 Assumption. This is such a good game, man. It is so even all across the board. North Scott wins over Central DeWitt and Waverly Shell Rock. Assumption wins over Davenport North and Solon. Kyle Girardi, really good quarterback for North Scott. Assumption, really good running back at Jackson. This is going to be a great game. I give it to North Scott just because last year they beat them 31-17. Not much changed from both those teams. So I'm still going to give the North Scott Lancers the edge, but this will be a very, very close game. Wouldn't surprise me if Assumption goes out and wins this game, though. And if Assumption does, we got to start talking about them as one of the heavy favorites in Class 3A because this team is good. Good ground attack, too. The only thing that worries me about North Scott is that Girardi, he is the throwing and the running. So his passing, if his passing's off, his running's got to be on. If his running's off, his passing's got to be on. So he is a big aspect of that game. I took North Scott. Paul took North Scott. Everyone on our team took North Scott except Jack. Jack took Assumption. 2-0 Humboldt takes on 2-0 Van Meter. Week 1, I think this game would have been really cool. Lance Kuhn has not been playing. It's been Cohen Matson for Humboldt. Van Meter, Ben Gordon, their quarterback, Van Meter's quarterback, figured things out last week against Des Moines Christian. Van Meter's right back to a very solid football. They always were, but Van Meter is right to one of the top teams again in 2A. I like that they come up and play upper school. Past couple of years, it's been Winterset, and Williamsburg. But this year it's Humboldt. Van Meter wins over Des Moines Christian, and Underwood. Humboldt wins over Spencer and Ballard. They're not a very high-scoring offense. Humboldt's defense might be the thing that has to save them at the end, but I just think Van Meter's offense will be too much. Give me the Bulldogs. 2-0 Mount Vernon takes on 2-0 Benton. This game is sneaky good, man. Mount Vernon wins over Monticello and Union. Benton has wins over Marion and Vinton-Shellsburg. By the way, both defenses have been really good. This is a classic rushing attack of Benton that loves to run the ball. They almost have barely 100 passing yards on the year, but a heavy ground attack. And then you have Joey Romberg with Mount Vernon, who loves to pass the ball like crazy. I am worried about Mount Vernon's offensive line. I know it's been a little bit of trouble. The running attack hasn't been amazing, but I think it's going to be just enough here against a Benton team. I think it'll be a closer game. Last year was not close at all. Mount Vernon took them to the woodshed, but I think it'll be a closer game than some people are thinking. I'm going to give Mount Vernon the edge just a little bit. but I would not be surprised if Benton keeps this thing close. Nevada taking on PCM. Nevada 2-0, PCM 1-1. Nevada wins over West Marshall and Roland Story. PCM lost to Pella Christian in double overtime last week. It's a tough game to come off of. Nevada is a whole different monster on defense. This is just a very good defensive team. Stevenson at running back for Nevada, he's going to be tough. Statistically, both these teams are way closer than you'd think they are, but I just think Nevada is a big jump from Pella Christian, who beats PCM. Give me the Cubs in this one. A couple other notable games to keep an eye out for. Sioux Center, who upset Spirit Lake last week. They are off to play Unity Christian. Good 1-1 versus 1-1 game. Good luck to those guys. Give me Sioux Center. I think they keep that train rolling. Greene County takes on Atlantic, two teams that had really high aspirations at the beginning of the season that lost already. Greene County obviously lost to Carroll. Atlantic lost to Glenwood. Trying to get things back rolling. Give me, I don't know, man. Give me Greene County in this one. I think Greene County gets back rolling. They beat Perry last week, but I think Greene County might have an edge. We talked about this one last night in our episode. Williamsburg takes on Clear Creek Amana. Do the Raiders come out a little sleepy after a big win against Xavier? Clear Creek Amana, not quite the team that you'd expect this year. I don't think they come out very soft. I think Williamsburg takes care of business easily and defeats Clear Creek Amana. We'll jump down to Class 2A. 2-0, Cherokee, Washington, taking on 2-0, Ridgeview. We have a photographer at this game. Excited to get these two teams on camera. Cherokee has a very good rushing attack, one of the best in the state. They almost have up to 800 rushing yards. Ridgeview needs offense, man. I think they've scored 7 and 14 points their first 2 weeks. The offense just has not been there for Ridgeview. They got to get things figured out against this Cherokee Washington team, but their defense clearly is very good. It's just a matter of if Ridgeview, the Raptors, can get something rolling on offense. Give me Cherokee. I think Cherokee could go 8-1 or 7-2 this year. This is a good Cherokee team that is getting good at the right time and has a favorable schedule to do so. They play Central Lyon in a couple weeks. Keep an eye out for that game. Another sneaky game. 2-0 Sheridan takes on 2-0 Albia. I touched on Albia a little bit last week. Sheridan's defense is very good, man. 6 total sacks. They've taken care of business in the first 2 weeks. Luke Wynn is the offense for Albia. Albia's defense is pretty good. I like Sheridan, though, a little bit more in this. Keep an eye on Sheridan. They're going to be a fun team. 2 very decent teams down south in southern Iowa. I think this is going to be a great game. But I like Sheraton just a little bit closer in this one. 2-0 Trainer versus 2-0 Clarinda. This is our Class 2A game of the week for Bound. Our picks will be out the same time this podcast will be out. We split 4-4. 4 of us took Trainer. 4 of us took Clarinda. This game should statistically be very low scoring. These are 2 very, very good defenses. You got a classic rushing attack, heavy rushing attack versus a very good passing attack. I gave the edge to Trainer just a little bit. I think experience maybe a little bit more gets them going. There was a couple more things I saw on defense that I liked for Trainer. Again, very good game. Should be a toss-up. Statistically is planned to be a toss-up. I'm excited to see how both these teams shape out. And like I said, our Bound staff goes 4-4 on this game. So a couple things to keep an eye out for. A couple other notable games to keep an eye out for. OABCIG takes on West Lyon, 2 teams trying to get going after a couple early losses. South Hamilton, who is predicted to be pretty good, gets Roland Story, who got beat up. Safe to say, they got beat up last week against Nevada. The Norsemen are a good team. They're going to get back rolling. South Hamilton's going to have a tricky game in front of them. Roland Story is not going to want to lose 2 in a row. That'll be a fun one. And then Fort Madison is 2-0. They take on Centerville, who is 1-1. Centerville lost to Albia week 1, but that rushing attack is still very good. Fort Madison, very low-scoring games. I think they won 15-12 and then 21-15 or something like that, or 21-14. Not a high-scoring offense by any means, but keep an eye out for this one. Probably another low-scoring game coming to you. Fort Madison's always one of those teams that is pretty good in the regular season. They'll just kind of sneak into the playoffs, but their schedules just really aren't up to par, so they have trouble with the RPI. But that'll be a fun one. I guess I didn't pick any of those games. I'll go West Lyon over OABCIG. I'll go South Hamilton over Roland Story, and I'll go Fort Madison over Centerville. So, oops, messed up. Down to Class 1A, our 1A game of the week. Grundy Center 2-0 takes on Pella Christian 2-0. This is going to be interesting. Pella Christian, very good on offense. Grundy Center has been very stagnant on offense. It's a little worrisome, just a little bit, just saying. But their defense has been phenomenal. That's the problem that lies. Pella Christian's rushing attack is very good, but this will be the best defense they've faced in the first 2 games. Grundy Center's defense is just, they're going to be tough. I mean, Pella Christian's got an uphill battle against them. I like Grundy Center. Our whole staff loves Grundy Center in this game, but I just want to see a little bit more out of Grundy Center. You know, they've been good, but I want to see them better. Like, I think they can be very good just in a little bit of time. Another game we talked about, this is my upset game of the week. Linville-Sully 2-0 takes on Pleasantville 2-0. Linville-Sully loses quarter down harder to a foot injury. He's out most likely for the year, I think. Caleb Cook for Pleasantville is going to be a problem. He is very good offensively. He is going to be a huge issue for Linville-Sully. Linville-Sully, we don't really know who's starting at quarterback. It could be Lucas Seek. It could be the other quarterback that was put or benched last week. There's a lot up in the air about this game, but I just feel like it's a perfect game for Pleasantville to come in here and sneak this one out. Keep an eye on this one, man. This is going to be a really good game. I like Pleasantville in this one. I like them a lot in this one. Another game to roll out for other notables. East Sac County takes on Missouri Valley. East Sac County, pretty good start to the season. They get a tricky game over Missouri Valley. And then Southwest Valley takes on Grandview Christian. I don't know why I put these games down. I know our bound tool that decides quality matchups said this was going to be a good games, so I just went with it. Give me East Sac County and give me Southwest Valley in those. Should be interesting. Again, shorter episode today because my man Paul unfortunately left us because his Wi-Fi just absolutely lost it. So a little bit shorter episode because I can't fill in and I don't have bound pulled up. I only have my notes here. We'll get it figured out. He said he's going to hook up Ethernet next week, so we'll see how that works out for our recap on Monday. Class A, 2-0 Madrid versus 2-0 Mount Ayr. This is our game of the week. Oh, this is a fun game, man. It's 5-3. 5 of us on our staff picked Madrid. 2 or 3 people picked Mount Ayr. This game could go any which way. Mount Air's defense, very good. I think they've only given up 7 and 6 in the first 2 weeks, or only 7. I can't remember. Madrid's given up a little bit more. Closer game against Woodward Granger. Took care of business against Martinsdale St. Mary's. Fuller at running back, very good. I'm going to give it to Madrid just a little bit. I think Madrid has a little bit more experience, so I'm going to go with the Tigers, but I think Mount Ayr is very good. This game should be phenomenal all across the board. I really like Madrid in this game, but Mount Ayr, expect a little low scoring. I don't expect this to be a very high scoring game, maybe around 20s to 30s, but nothing crazy out of these two teams. Not like a fireworks 40-50 game. 2-0 Woodbury Central takes on 2-0 Logan Magnolia. Passing attack versus the rushing attack. Logan Magnolia burst on the scene last week. Just handled Kingsley Pearson with ease. Like, caught us all off guard. Woodbury Central, Drew Kluender, very good quarterback. This game is really good. Logan Magnolia statistically looks really good. Like, almost better than Woodbury Central. But what gets me is this is almost, they're kind of similar. Like, there's not many differences of these teams. These two played last year, and Woodbury Central just flat out blew the doors off of them. So I lean Woodbury Central because of the quarterback play. And I know I picked against Logan Magnolia last week, and everyone's like, what do you got to do to pick Logan Magnolia? I'm just going to go with Woodbury Central. I just think Kluender's just a really good quarterback, and I think that offensive passing attack could cause a lot of issues. So give me Woodbury Central. I'm sorry. If Logan Magnolia wins this week, that's it. I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I'm not choosing anybody else but Logan Magnolia. But I will take Woodbury Central this week. Another sneaky game. 2-0 West Hancock takes on 2-0 St. Ansgar. This game would be a lot bigger if St. Ansgar didn't beat Osage 25-24. I get Osage is a much bigger class. I think they're in 2A, almost 2A or 1A. I just like West Hancock's offense. I mean, just that rushing attack is so good. Their defense is absolutely phenomenal. I think they've only given up 6 points all year, and they've scored like 40, 50 points both games. Connor King on defense. Remember the name, Connor King for St. Ansgar. He is a absolute dog on defense. He is so good. Could cause problems for Wes Hancock. This game wasn't close last year. I think it'll be closer this year, but I still think Wes Hancock gets away. Class A, man. A lot of fun. A lot of really good teams. A couple other notable games. ICAM Manning takes on Earlham. Manning is 2-0 and has some solid wins. I think Panorama is one of those wins. Earlham, very good. A very good 1-1 team. ICAM Manning could be a surprise team this year. Can they get to 3-0? Speaking of Panorama, they play ACGC. Another good game between two very good teams. And then North Lynn takes on Starmont. We've had a couple people be like, hey, talk about Starmont. First of all, very cool school name. I know Starmont. I know their logo, but I don't know a ton about the school. So shout out Starmont. If you beat North Lynn this week, we can start talking about Starmont a little bit. I assume their mascot is the Stars. I think. I'll check it after this, but Starmont Stars. Yeah, it makes sense. If it's not, that's a little disappointing. But North Lynn beat Alburnett week 1. That was our game of the week in that class. So North Lynn, pretty good. Sneaky team. You think of them as basketball. You don't think of them as football, but, we'll take it as it is. And we'll jump down to 8-player. A lot of good games in 8-player. We'll start with our 8-player game of the week. 2-0 Bedford versus 2-0 Lennox. This game is so even across the board. It is unbelievable. Gabe Funk, watch for him. He's just a junior. For Lennox, he is going to be so much fun. Garrison Mottsinger for Bedford. He is going to be so much fun. I expect a lot of running in this game. I don't expect as much passing. Bedford has scored close to 70 points both weeks. Lennox has been very good. The defenses have been just average. I mean, they're giving up 20-something points a game, something like that. I like Bedford's wins, though, just a little bit more. Lennox beat Fremont Mills, which is a great game. I just like Bedford's games. That Moravia game just stood out, really stood out to me. A lot. I mean, that Bedford defense is legit, man. Give me Bedford. Give the edge to Bedford. Actually, on our staff, Lennox was the popular pick. 5 people took Lennox. 3 people, including myself, took Bedford. So Bedford hasn't been in this position in these type of games often, which worries me just a tad, unlike Lennox, who has been in these type of games. But I like Bedford just a little bit more in this game. Go Bulldogs. We'll see what happens. Another great game could have been our game of the week. 2-0 Waco takes on 2-0 Winfield Mount Union. Waco's defense, 4 picks on the year. These boys are going to be trouble, but can they keep up with the Winfield Mount Union offense? Cam Buffington is a monster on the offensive side of the ball, along with Edwards at quarterback. He's a junior. He's starting to get things figured out. He's also Cam is also great on defense. I like Winfield Mount Union just a little bit more in this one. They proved to me that they can really do well against teams like Central City and them. But Waco, good to see Waco back and still staying what they can be on offense and defense after how many players they lost from last year's Dome team. I just like Winfield just a little bit more. We're going to have a photographer at this game, which I cannot wait. I'm so excited to get photos of both these two teams. Anytime we can go down and get 8-player photos, it's huge because it's so hard to get 8-player photos. I like the Wolves just a little bit more, but I think this will be a really good game. Baxter 2-0 takes on 2-0 St. Edmund. St. Edmund was very impressive against Collins Maxwell last week. Baxter has a very good passing attack, over 600 passing yards to start this season. St. Edmund, though, overall is very good. Passing, rushing, very good defense, took care of Collins Maxwell. That game sold me on St. Edmund. I think the Gales get past Baxter. I think the Bolts are good. I don't think they could get past St. Edmund. Give me St. Edmund at home in this one. A couple other notables to keep track of. Janesville versus Clarksville. Janesville, Clarksville, nice game. I think these two are 2-0 if I'm not mistaken. I didn't grab stats for this game, but I know it's a good game, 2-0. I'll go with Janesville simply because Dara Danielson, who I work with on the Central Iowa Sports Network, he's from Janesville, went to Janesville High School, so I'll take Janesville. Remsen St. Mary's versus West Bend Mallard. We need to talk about Remsen the next couple weeks. These boys are still good, and they lost everything, but they're still good. They didn't rebuild. They literally reloaded. They're not like crazy statistically, but they're pretty good. They get a good test this week against West Bend Mallard. And then Edgewood Colesburg takes on Central City. I know we've been high on Central City, but Edgewood Colesburg is averaging like 60 points a game. I know they haven't played very good teams. Springville was a good team, I guess, but keep an eye out for this one. Edgewood Colesburg might need to be talked about if they get past Central City. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. So that's all I got. That is all of our class rundown for our preview for week 3. It's already week 3, man. That's insane. The weather is great. I tell you now, like I went outside yesterday and like I dress like summer all winter. Like I wear shorts and t-shirts all the time, but even yesterday, kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, might need to have some long sleeves on. I've grown to enjoy long sleeves just a little bit more because sometimes you can't wear shorts or short sleeves all the time. But anyway, the weather's good. I'm excited. Weather's going to get better for fall, so expect a lot of good games. Doesn't look like any rain in sight for Friday night. So enjoy your Friday night of football. A lot of cool things happening all over the state. I know RVTV's over at Nevada for Nevada Rolling Story. That'll be a good game. I don't think they're not broadcasting the game, but they'll be over there. Southeast Polk breaks in their first game at their new stadium. I get to call that game. That's going to be a lot of fun. Just a lot of cool things happening all across the state. And then Saturday, the Cyhawk game, Iowa versus Iowa State. I guess I can make a quick prediction about that one. As an Iowa fan, I will say I'm not very confident. A couple weeks ago, I was confident. And then I watched Iowa play week 1, and I'm like, okay, I'm not that confident. I feel like I have to pick Iowa because I'm an Iowa fan, but I'm not confident this year. I think Iowa State's pretty good. I was very impressed with Iowa State's win over UNI. Granted, we don't know how good UNI is going to be, but I don't know, man. I'll go Iowa, but I don't think it's going to be much. And I guess mark it down here. I will not be surprised if Iowa State wins the game. So that's my thoughts. Go Hawks. Beat Iowa State. It's a Hawkeye State. I was disappointed in the loss to Iowa State volleyball last night. That was kind of tough, blowing a 2-set lead. But anyway, speaking of volleyball, as I keep rambling just a little bit more, let me know. I think we're going to try to do it. I think we're going to do like a mid-season volleyball episode. And we're definitely going to do a volleyball podcast episode as we get to the playoffs and the state tournament. Volleyball has been pretty fun this year. I've been keeping up with it. I don't do as much posting on the volleyball side. It's been Leah and Abby. Abby being new to our team. They're focused on the volleyball posts. I just do rankings. But I've been keeping track of volleyball stuff a little bit. And it's a good volleyball field this year, man. I get to call the state tournament, so I always enjoy going up there. And I already have to prep as it is. So I think we might get some volleyball podcast out. Let me know if you're watching this late in that you'd like to see some volleyball podcasts. Because I think we might get a little bit in there. So we'll see what happens. But that's all I got for Bound to Talk Football. This has been your preview episode for week 3. Good luck to Paul. We hope to see his Ethernet cable with him on Monday for our recap. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate everyone for watching and listening, and thanks for following along. Enjoy your Football Friday. We will see you on Monday. Have a good one, guys.